what drugs do I need, kids?
Don't you need these ones?
No, I think I'm okay for those. No, I've got some cinnamon. Okay, that should be enough drugs for a whole week. Okay. Not that I'll be in hospital for that long, I should be back Friday. At 43, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Today, just 5 years later, I'm off to hospital to undergo a pretty intensive procedure, deep brain stimulation surgery. I'm going to go on a big adventure.
Yeah. And you're going to
put me to sleep, and I'm going to have nice dreams. I'm going to wake up with 2 things in my head, and I'm going to be just peachy. Okay?
Okay.
I'm one of the 1 in 10 people with Parkinson's who develop it under the age of 50. It's a bit of a merciless disease and it only goes one way, but I'm determined to try anything to buy myself more time with my family. Bye. See you, mate. Good.
Okay.
Don't worry about me. Bill! Sweetheart. My life before Parkinson's was full on. I'd met Kate. We were in love. We were expecting our first child. I had a successful marketing career. But at 43, I felt like I was falling apart, and with good reason.
Andy used to kind of almost apologise to me, say, I'm so sorry, you know. And I was like, oh, don't be ridiculous. It could have so easily been me or, you know, this is just what it's about.
Right, so we organised?
Yeah.
Teeth brushed?
Yes.
Hair done?
Yes.
Clothes on?
Yes.
Ready to rock and roll?
Yes.
Okay, let's go.
Yay.
I go from being at peace to being very angry. And you know, I'll cycle through that all the time. It's an eternal, you know, you're always wrestling with it, so you just got to kind of be with that. For a start, I've had to cut back my hours. Kate is working full time and it's me who runs the kids to and from school. Okay, you have a lovely day. Morning, Trevor. Hey, buddy. Nice to see you. Yep. 3 years ago, I formed a partnership with Trevor Moody. He's a great guy. We are the Department of Marketing. When people see me, they just go, something's not right. So if I don't deal with that quickly, they start filling in the gaps. I'm in a place where I can't really hide it, so I don't. Now, Peter, you ever met me before, so before you start wondering what the hell's going on with my head, I've got Parkinson's. It won't affect anything I do, and I'm not drunk or mad. Cool, let's get on with it. I kind of forget I've got Parkinson's. You know, whenever I'm doing anything that I kind of love, and it's part of the conundrum of contemplating not doing it, it's because it keeps me very mentally alive.
Thanks for that.
No worries, bud.
Yeah. Good one, Andy.
Sometimes I don't think I'm being fair to Trevor. Yeah, I don't have a lot of proactive energy. We aren't growing the business at a rate that I feel is acceptable. So I'm just working out what's next for me because, you know, stress and fatigue aren't good for me. And sometimes I just feel, I'm feeling like I'm not doing enough.
Daddy!
Hi, sweetheart.
I love you.
How's your
Oh,
day?
you kissed my ear.
How's your day? Our lifestyle has definitely changed. We rent now. The mortgage just had to go. Good day.
It's a simpler life, but I'm actually finding it more rewarding in a way. We've kind of got, you have to get rid of all the clutter and really look at what's important and what's not. And it's actually really freeing.
We've got rid of the $500,000 mortgage. Parkinson's kind of has a way of making you shrink, and you really have to physically fight back. A couple of times a week I follow a physio program that forces me to make all my movements bigger.
The purpose and what we're focusing on is the bigness. And the purpose of why we're doing big is because, as you know, Andy, smaller is how we become.
Smaller is definitely what I felt my life was becoming. So I made this video.
Hello, my name is Lily McDowell, and I want to share a poem my dad wrote for me and my sister Pearl.
Well, it came about when I was contemplating having to tell these two one day. And, you know, every parent wonders how they're going to share that piece of news. And as part of my process of going through it, I just jotted the poem down.
When he told us, it wasn't very clear, and we were like, still don't know what you're talking about. And so the poem is called Smaller, a poem about Parkinson's disease. My world got smaller. My handwriting. My voice. My balance. The space in the world I take up. It crept up on me in micro increments. Those are big words for small and slow. Until it arrived with a name. And then it became big and scary. And I didn't want it. But now I had a face, a reason for all the smallness. And so it became what it is. I may be smaller, slower.
But I'm still me.
Yes, you are, Daddy. I love you.
Hello, Johnsons. How are you guys? 2 years ago I met AJ. He's also got what they call early onset Parkinson's.
Hey mate, how are you?
Welcome. Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you. Yeah.
What's really interesting is that he's had a treatment called Deep Brain Stimulation, and I could be a candidate for it too.
Shaking and grooving.
Our big news is that we've got an appointment to see Dr. Macaulay on the 19th of November.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. Only 20 people are offered it in New Zealand every year. You have to be right for it, but it seems to have made a big difference for AJ.
One of the main things that surgery has done, apart from providing me a much more stable on profile, is the pain is gone.
Oh, really? I haven't got a bad tremor, but
No.
I've got wicked dyskinesia.
Yeah.
And so I'm, you know, I get looked at quite a lot. You know,
Yeah.
I go out in public and the kids all stare at me and all that sort of stuff goes on, but you kind of got to put up with that. But I'm starting, my voice, I'm starting to have trouble swallowing.
Yeah.
And I had the odd choking episode, which is just terrifies
Yeah, it's not fun.
the pants off me. AJ had his operation 18 months ago. Now he has an electrode in each hemisphere of his brain, powered by a battery, implanted under the skin on his chest.
Can you actually see it?
Yeah.
Can you see it?
It's quite pronounced lump. That's where
Yeah, I saw the angle then.
neurostimulator sits, and the wire runs up,
Oh, yeah.
up there.
You can feel the wire. Yeah.
Sits in there, and it's crossed over. There's two deep tunnels along the top of my skull.
You feel it?
Oh yeah, and I've got two bumps here, two horns.
I think fear is the only thing stopping me from doing it.
It's a band-aid that's given our family some time.
I'm up for it. Hello. Hello. Today I've got an appointment with my neurologist, Dr. Barry Snow. The surgery will depend a lot on his recommendation.
DBS is just a terrific and transforming thing for most people,
Yeah.
but not everybody.
I'm quite clear that there could be a lot of benefit or there could be minimal,
Yep.
but it's not going to do any harm.
Do you mind walking in the corridor?
No,
Okay, hopefully it won't be too public. Let's go open the door.
DBS is only suitable for about 1 in 10 people with Parkinson's.
Good. Now turn around. What's actually happened is that you took your medication about 15 minutes ago and it's starting to work.
DBS won't fix everything, but it'll certainly help out my motor skills.
So this is the miracle of Cinnamate,
Yeah.
but the frustration. The miracle is that it can improve the Parkinson's. The frustration is that you get these ups and downs.
Yeah.
Everybody with Parkinson's has their own version of the disorder, yeah. And Andrew, that includes your own response to the deep brain stimulation. And so it's reasonable to expect or hope that the DBS will make you as good as your best levodopa response.
Yeah.
Okay?
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think so too.
Fundamentally, it should stop a lot of the shakiness that you're seeing now and this dyskinesia. It won't fix Parkinson's, but it will fix a major aspect of the motor symptoms. Deep brain stimulation has become one step closer.
Hey, mate.
I passed the test.
Hey, mate.
Time to check in with someone who's been through it. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Welcome back.
AJ has made a video showing what happens when he turns off his DBS unit. It's gone viral and it's been seen by millions.
Hi, this is me with the power on. And this is me when I turn it off. You won't be able to read that, it's shaking too much. So it's almost an instantaneous reaction. I can't control this. My voice is gone. It's harder for me to get words out and speak. And if I tried to stand up, I'd fall. If anyone thinks I'm faking this, I'm not. I can't control the tremors and dyskinesia. The twisting in my neck is called dystonia and is really quite uncomfortable. So I think party time is over. Almost automatically. The power comes back on. I'm steady.
The effects of DBS can be amazing, almost unbelievable. I can only hope it's the same for me.
It is life-changing.
Having surgery it's pretty dramatic and pretty drastic.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, neither you or I have really any choice in the matter.
No.
And the results are fantastic.
You've really filled in the holes for us, so cheers.
No problem at all, mate. Well, best of luck.
See you on the other side.
See you on the other side.
Cheers, bud.
This is your role. Thank you. Right? Okay, and before anything starts, it's what you want.
I'm just full of hope for this, and that's what DBS gives you. I'm not spitting rainbows and fireworks, but if I can be better, if I can get back to work, if I can help raise my kids better for this procedure, that's why I'm doing it. Hello, Ryan.
Hi, Andy.
Hey, hon.
So what's... Hi, Kate.
What's the procedure from here? It's a pretty quiet afternoon, really.
Oh, it's a little bit going on.
Yeah.
So the house surgeon will come and admit you, and then tomorrow morning you'll be going to theatre for the big operation. We'll get you through it.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
He'll be fine.
It was in the middle of the surgery. They put a probe in, and neurologist came around the front and he said, move your fingers, move your eyes, left, right, up, down. And they were turning it on then, so they were doing some testing to make sure it was in the right place. And so I got a little bit of a sense of what the tuning was like. And even under some pretty heavy sedation, I got quite excited. So, you know, that was the light at the end of the tunnel. Well, before the operation, I woke up in the middle of the night and couldn't stop thinking, and basically I was terrified, so I couldn't sleep. So I got up and went down and asked the night nurse for some paper and pen. It's called Will I? Questions are buzzing around in my head as I lie here tonight in my hospital bed. Will I be more? Will I be less? It's freaking me out, I have to confess. Will I still be slow, still feel like lead? My face still a mask with these wires in my head. Will I be better or will I be worse? Are the risks worth taking to be free from this curse? Part of this bionic man or Energizer Bunny kind of thing that I'm doing to myself by putting, you know, wires into my head and sticking a battery pack in. At great personal pain, I might add, because it has hurt a hell of a lot so far. You know, I'm doing it because I want to be more. I don't want to be less. You know, I don't want to go to my grave slower and smaller. You know, I kind of want to live as big and as large as I can. Well, who sent these? They're really generous. Kate's had to assume a huge extra load. She's got to be a mother. She works full time. She's got to look out for me. I'm still okay, but I do require more managing than your average husband. It's easier for me because I'm having this thing done to me. She's got to stand on the sideline and worry.
I'm fortunate that I work somewhere that are very accommodating and understanding of kind of what's happened in our lives, and so they've made some wonderful allowances for me to actually be able to cope with that. At times I've thought that I'm not coping, but there is enough in there to actually, I've found enough inner resources and outer resources to actually kind of like go, oh, okay, come on, off we go again. And I just can't sit in that place of of thinking how miserable this is, because there's just absolutely no point. I've just got to look at the time that we have and feel quite blessed that we actually do have it, and that we've been given this gift of making, Andy's life improve by so many years. I mean, there's not a lot for me to sit around and wallow about. It's not going to do me any favours, and it's not going to do the family any favours, and it's not how I feel.
We're struggling to survive fiscally with me not working. She just has to work. Well, it's 2 weeks and 2 days since I was actually under the knife, and there are just some little things happening which are kind of encouraging. So I'm feeling a lot clearer in my head. Just having a good night's sleep has just radically changed my world. I don't want to get too excited. That would be dangerous, if you like. I just think that would be probably foolish. I just am quite happy to take what comes. Gorgeous. How was your day?
It was great. I have some Spanish homework and I have a journal.
Pizza's made in the oven.
Yep.
Just got to put Pearl's pineapple on it.
Oh, Lou's put it up for a couple of days from Queenstown, and she's picked the girls up from school the last couple of days and is helping us with the meals. Kate and I couldn't do it without our families. You know, we have all sorts of support at all sorts of different levels, but this is what it's the absolute basis of it. To be able to go for a walk with the girls, that's what it's all about for me. I mean, people say, look for those moments of gratitude in your life, and for me, it's just about the kids, because they just make me laugh. They're just so priceless.
It was really annoying because I didn't know how to play any other position other than goalie.
Right.
So I didn't know what I was doing, and I was really bad at kicking the ball because I kept on falling over.
So you remember the week before my operation, you were a bit worried.
Yeah.
You were kind of having trouble getting to sleep and all that. Mm. So, how is it now?
When I saw your eye, it's a bit overwhelming, but now I can really understand it and I'm fine with it.
What about Pearl?
Pearl did cry a bit at night, just because it's a bit overwhelming for a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old to have their 48-year-old father go through surgery like this.
Are you worried about the second procedure? Do you sort of know what's going on?
I do. When I didn't know about it, I thought that we're gonna get like some AA batteries and just stick them in there.
Right.
Yeah, and I really took the ones out of my remote.
I'm proud of you both.
Thanks. I'm proud of you.
Andy, Dr. Macaulay, hi.
Morning,
Dr.
Macaulay.
Macaulay's just come to see you this morning.
How are you today?
First
Morning.
day post-op.
How are you doing?
I'm doing okay.
So I just wanted to tell you briefly about what's been done yesterday. This is one of the units that's exactly the same as had been put into yourself. So it's got a battery inside it and the electronics that produces the electrical pulses.
Yeah.
And it's been put in here. You can feel the bulge of it just there. And this is where the cut was done, where the surgeon placed it into a little pocket he's devised underneath the skin there.
Okay.
And the pulses go up this wire around up to the brain.
Mm-hmm.
So the wire's been put in through the top part of the brain, right down deep into this part of the brain, the brain stem. That's the wire that's actually in the brain, and you can see the 4 tiny, very fine wires running down it, so that we can send an electrical pulse down any one of those. And today we have to work out which is the right one to send the pulse down to, or which combination. And we can work out that by trying out each one in turn in various combinations.
Cool. Well, let's get on with it.
Morning, Andy.
Morning,
We're
Lauren.
about to switch you on.
Cool.
Okay, Andy, so we'll just put this receiver over the APG, which is on your chest wall there. And I'll get my table all set up and we'll turn the machine on and we'll get going.
Cool.
What's happening there?
Fingernails. Both.
I don't know how much difference it's going to make, but I've always just any difference is going to be kind of, you know, a little bit of being able to kind of get some of, reclaim himself.
Almost instantaneously, you could feel your limbs loosen up and the tremor would disappear and the coordination would improve. But it would go through the range of having no effect, minimum effect, good effect, and then like a really overpowering effect where it was going too far the other way.
You okay? Do
Yeah.
you still feel nauseated?
I'm all right.
Just tell me, because I need to record all
Just
this.
a touch.
Yeah, okay. So we've tested the 4 contacts, or
Yep.
ports, as Dr. McCauley called them, and we've found that the bottom 2 contacts probably were the best in terms of treating your Parkinson's. So it's all looking very promising.
Cool. Looking back, I'm in no doubt that the procedure was worth all the angst. I've got a huge amount of time back and a huge amount of quality of life.
He's actually able to go on bike rides with us. It's just really nice. It's just a really great change, and I think it's going really good for the family.
Oh, bless you.
I'll just give you a little bit.
The motor symptoms have definitely almost disappeared. I'm a bit slow, but rather being a bit slow than being fast and, and jerky and all over the show. So it's better that I'm just a bit a bit quieter.
Yeah. Lift the cup again. It's pretty good, isn't it?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
It was a dangerous winter with you and a bowl of soup. I had to actually go and get special soup spoons, didn't I?
And the other thing I've got back is my smile.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how much that means to me personally.
Just have that part of you back where I just get full engagement when we're talking. It's just been immense.
It's really nice to be smiling again.
Yeah.
I'm a lot slower. I have very little dyskinesia, the odd twitch, and I've got a lot less medication on board, and I'm just on a whole lot more at ease in my body, really. My voice is a whole lot bit more stable, and I'm not shaking around, so I don't look as bad. If I look at your room, see if it's in good shape or not, eh? Physically, I don't manifest with Parkinson's like I used to, but I still got it. Yeah, the disease keeps rocking and rolling, but I've got a whole lot of quality of life back. I've just got time back, really. It feels like I wound the clock back.